Hello, hello sisters. This is Jonita D'souza, your feminine lifestylist, with an impromptu Facebook Live here inside the group exploring femininity sisterhood group. So we have quite a few new members joining in. I am super excited to see that, and if you are hopping on, please let me know who you are and what's present, what have you been feeling post this full moon, the beautiful full moon, the super moon we had, and as we are going closer to the Beltane, which is an important change in the wheel and fire festival. So what is present, what has been happening in your life, and what is emerging? This is the season, the moment of the emergence, into wholeness from the darkness. And I'm curious, what is emerging, what is present in your life right now? I always like to begin with this question because I think that lays the foundation of what I am sharing or what you would like to receive from. So I am really good in doing these impromptu Facebook Live sessions without prior notice, only because I am also, just like you, learning to on a regular basis to cope up with all the changes happening in this world at this time. And right now, if you have been in this group for some time, then you know that I have been a little bit absconding over the last 10 days. I gave myself a digital detox, and it was important, it was necessary, and here I am back, and I want to share some reflections with you. I want to interact and see what is present for you. If there is any challenge that I can support you with, or I can even send my prayers or blessings to, then please do let me know. Please share in this under this video. Right now I am tuning in to you from India, and as many of you already might have read in the media about the crisis India is facing, and yes, a lot of it is happening, and there is a lot of upheaval, and I am once again coming to terms with what is my role in all of this. And so I want to share with you some reflection over the last 10 days of what I experienced. So I got the opportunity to visit. Another thing that I want to say is that as bad as what the situation has been portrayed in the news, in media about COVID in India, the scenario that has been portrayed is majorly of one city in India, the capital city. The rest of the cities are not severely affected or experiencing such ruthless, I would say, response to this situation. So in the south of India, I was really lucky to be traveling, and I just got back to Andaman Islands. And I got the opportunity to spend a few days in Auroville. Auroville is a meditation center, a futuristic community, I must say, in the south of India. It was founded in the late 1960s by visionaries, a couple, the lady being from the west and the man from here, Sri Aurobindo. And they had a vision for humanity. They had this beautiful vision for humanity to coexist, in which there is no hierarchy, in which there is no patriarchal lineage of who is higher than who, and everyone comes together as an important part of the collective whilst realizing their individualism. So it's a very beautiful community. There is I think it's the first in the world which is of this big community. It's a small village in itself. It has several houses, shops, schools, kids. My husband was extremely surprised. He is a European, and for him it was quite surprising to see that almost 80% of the residents of this community were non-Indians. Speaking perfectly Indian languages and French in particular, English obviously. So there was a lot of French influence, and this whole community works in the way that they do not have currency. So currency is their value, the value they offer to the community. So anything they need in this community, they all the exchanges are done in terms of value that I can provide to you, or you can provide to me. So the exchange is always of values and ideas and not of money. And the community is thriving. It's thriving in its researchers of consciousness, and I can just go on and on about Auroville. So the meditation center in itself was a very high vibrational place where you could really feel the several hundreds and thousands of people who have come before me and sat in that Fibonacci spiral dome and meditated for unity consciousness, who believe that we all can come together realizing our own potential and create a community where there is no agenda for money or currency. And our value then lies in the value that we inherit within and give. So all in all, I will post a video somewhere, some of the famous videos from there, so you can get an idea of this place. So yeah, so I had a really good time experiencing that space. It was a beautiful experience, very hot though. And it was a perfect digital detox for me that made me realize also my role that I am required or called to step into during this global crisis, during this, we've been going through this pandemic since over an year, and it has affected us in different ways, and we can succumb to what is happening and the fear, or we can rise to the occasion. And which is why I wanted to majorly speak my understanding and share about it, my understanding of sacred feminine leadership. So we are taught sacred feminine leadership in I am very pleased that there are conversations happening around it, and I am also looking forward to in this later this year, if things just continue to settle down, then organize a sacred feminine leadership retreat for women to realize the true nature of what it means to be a sacred feminine leader. And what has come up for me as an understanding of this concept, which is not very widely taught, is one main objective. And if you have been following me over the last 2 years, then you know that I sincerely work with the Feminine Empress archetype. We did a dive into it last year during March, where we went into the Feminine Empress archetype and everything around it, and how it implements and affects your life. And I've done it in the last couple of years, and I'm looking forward to create something present to you, something so you can realize if this is for you, because once again, not everyone is ready or is available or is interested in sacred feminine leadership. And the feminine empress is an archetype. It's an embodiment of three main archetypes, which is the warrioress in us, which helps us to be out there, to realize our purpose, to communicate, to express. And then it's also comprising of the mother, who is the epitome of creating community, creating nurture, sustenance for yourself, for others, for your next generation, for people, community to flourish, boundaries. And then the last archetype that comprises of the feminine empress is the lover, which is all about realizing you as the sacred temple body, and you implementing your gift of sensuality and sexuality that is your inherent nature as woman, to utilize it for your fullest potential. So the whole ideology of sacred feminine leadership for me births from this feminine empress paradigm, and it can be narrowed down to one simple word for me. And before I share that, I would like to know, what is your idea, what is your opinion, or what is your I think idea is a good word. What is your idea for sacred feminine leadership? What do you think it is? What would you like it to be? What do you feel it is? So for me, the sacred feminine leadership begins with the root word sovereignty. And sovereignty is all about realizing personal leadership. Now, we are taught leadership in the world. We are taught leadership in how we go out and present ourselves and achieve that goal, do this, succeed, and all of that is fine and very much required for our yang side. What we are not taught is an important aspect of sacred feminine leadership, which is sovereignty, and sovereignty only comes from personal leadership. And personal leadership, if you actually go down, so I'm giving you a breakdown of where it flows down into, narrowing the funnel for you. So personal leadership, what do I mean by that? There is a very fine line that we must understand about personal leadership, which then leads us, or which then helps us to lead like a sacred feminine leader. And the fine line is between being outward and inward. So I sincerely follow the concept of Tantra in my life. It is all about weaving energies and weaving duality, accepting the fact that we live in a duality prone dimension. We have the yin, the yang outside us, inside us. We see it around us. We have the good, bad, dark, light, and all of that polarity exists. So the concept of duality is very important to embrace, because that helps us. Duality helps us to come to sacred union. So there is a very fine line in sacred feminine leadership that we must understand, and which is about being the outward expression as well as being the inward expression. And let me know if this resonates with you. Outward expression involves more of your sacred purpose, your voice, your expression in itself. It's how you represent yourself in this world. It's how you communicate, you voice yourself, how you stand up for things. That is really important, and that is the outward expression of the sacred feminine leader. And then there is the inward expression, which is a very yin nature of sacred feminine leadership, which is the epitome of personal leadership, which is allowing ourselves to go within. And going within is understanding that when you are doing that, it's not that you are retrieving from the world and you don't care, now it's me time, I need to look into myself, and all of that. You are not disconnecting from the picture of wholeness. You are just shifting into the other realm of duality, and that's pretty much it. So often I know we as women, we feel guilty for not doing enough. We feel guilty to take the introspection time and allow ourselves so much of stillness because we think that we are not doing a lot. But this is a crucial part of sacred feminine leadership and the inward part. And there is another element to the inward part of leadership, and I like to say it's like leading from behind, leading from the dark, from the shadows, or I must say. So one of the elements of inward expression is going inside of you, first of all, and secondly, taking a step back in your outward expression, however, still being in your sovereignty, still being in your leadership role, but taking a step back and looking after the community. Let's say looking after the people you love, looking after your family, your people who are important to you. How can you also take a step back so that you can allow them to step forward? So that is also a really important part of sacred feminine leadership. Maybe I should do a Facebook Live on that tomorrow. Let me know if you will be interested in this topic of leading from behind, leading from the shadow. Like, how do we provide support to, and fully go into the depths of the feminine nature, which is all about connection, community, collaboration. How do we go into that aspect of leadership? And oftentimes it requires us to step back as leaders and continue leading. So you don't give up the role, you lead in a different way. I'll share about it tomorrow, but let me know if this is intriguing to you. And this is something that I have been practicing a lot recently, taking a step back and utilizing my gifts of sacred feminine leadership to help others lead, to help my loved ones lead, take ownership, see them rise to the occasion. So that's a very beautiful aspect of the feminine that often what I have noticed in particular personally, that a lot of teachers do not share about sacred feminine leadership. So, but right now I want to stick to the outward and the inward expression of sacred feminine leadership. And I want to talk about resistances around it. And let me know if this resonates with you. Let me know if this makes sense to you. Let me know if this feels true to you. As when I say inward and outward expression of sacred feminine leadership. So what happens is that we, first of all, there is a lot of ancestral patterning that we have ingrained that makes us afraid as women to even go out into the leadership role. We do it very easily probably when we are working for a corporation or a job or something, because a job demands that and we are really good at it. But when it is about our overall lifestyle, we are afraid. And what we tend to do is that we move on to the extremes of it. We either go into the outward expression and just go for it, or we either go into the inward expression and just get stuck there. And the balance between these two is something for you to identify, and that's what I want to share here. We go through different phases in our life, in our cycles, on a monthly basis, based on the positioning of the moon, the wheel. So we go through different phases of our emotions, and based on that we kind of like we move, from these two extremes, and oftentimes we may not even want to go to the other side to find our balanced ground, because there's a lot of resistance, and I want to talk particularly about the resistance. Now, the balance thing is something that always bothers me, because the word in itself, I need to find a better word better words to define that expression. But what I really want to say is that a balance between your outward leadership and your inward leadership is something that is very extremely personal to you. It is something for you to identify when you need to be out there and when you need to be in here. So, and it will look different for you at different times of your life, of your cycle. Sometimes I can be out there for a good, like at a stretch, a month, like 4 weeks. I'm showing up, I'm doing my things, I need to get things done, and I'm going through it. And then I take my inward time because I've had enough. Or sometimes, we are going through so many emotions at once, so many things happening around us, that sometimes 5 days of being outward, I then feel like, all right, I need 10 days of being inward. So it is very subtle in nature, and it is very important to understand and analyze and listen. This is why the dark feminine plays an important role. And we are approaching the dark feminine time of the cycle in the coming next few days. So it is really important for us to understand where and when we want to be out there or in here. And recognizing that when we say we are not being out there, we are being in here, we are still leading. We are still leading. It's not that we are not doing anything, because everything we do, how we are being, affects the nature of things present around us, affects our experiences. And what happens is that oftentimes it takes a lot of energy or to move through the resistance. Sometimes when we are too much stuck into the inward and we are procrastinating to go into the outward expression, we already know that that we have to be out there doing this thing, but I'm not doing this thing because, oh my God, I can't. Maybe tomorrow. Yeah, I am really good in procrastinating, and the good thing is that I'm aware of it, so I can pick up my patterns. And there is an important reason why we do that, why we stop ourselves from outward leadership. And let me know if you relate to procrastination. Let me know if this makes sense to you. So oftentimes we are not interested in the outward expression, even though we know it is important and it's crucial. We don't do it because we fear criticism. And this is very true for us. This is very true for any woman that I have known. It's about the whole visibility thing is extremely scary. It's extremely scary for them. for us. Me too. Until now, until today, it is scary. I have to gather all. Even though I am on purpose, even though I know what I'm sharing is of value, is going to impact in a beautiful way, I still have to go through this in my head, because the mental realm is a whole thing in its own. So the criticism, right now, let's take a moment here and realize into which phase are you in. Are you in the outward expression where you are like doing a lot, like getting things done, and you recognize the need to go into the inward expression, but you're still continuing to do the outward thing? Or you are in the inward expression where you continue to think that, okay, I have to be here, I have to deal with things first, I have to heal myself fully, and then I'm going to go and be a great sacred feminine leader. So feel into where you are right now. All right. So if you believe that it is time for you to go outward and being in the inward expression for some time, you're not doing it because you fear criticism, this whole thing of visibility. And I want us to understand one thing about criticism. When you recognize yourself in the realms of sacred feminine leadership, criticism is bound to come your way. And if you're watching this, then I understand that you are not wasting your time. This message is coming to you right on time, right on purpose. And you are part of the sacred feminine leadership movement. And criticism will always be there for you. It will always be there for you. You've got to recognize how to play with it. So, firstly, don't take things personally. Because it's not about you. It's not about you. When somebody criticizes you, it's not about you. There is funny saying, I can't recollect, but it looks like there's always 3 sides to a story. So there is like your side, there is the other side, their side, and then there is the third side, which is like out of context for both of you. So when somebody criticizes you, don't take that personally. Don't let somebody else's opinion impose upon your truth. Secondly, it's also important to filter the criticism. Think about where it is coming from. If it is coming from a stranger on the street, a troll on the internet, or somebody, a client of yours who is on your mailing list, but you have not met in person, and they have, there's a communication gap, and they're criticizing you for something, don't take that personally. Once again, it's not about you. It's about how they are responding to situations. So you've got to learn how to filter the criticism. If it is coming from a loved one and that has hurt you a lot, then probably it is time for you to go inward and process that. Okay? But in general, we've got to understand that somebody else's criticism is their way of responding to situation. Hurt people. And there is a very beautiful quote by Marianne Williamson. I do not know at the back of my head very well, but I had to write it down on my vision board to remind me of this. And it said something when I had learned, how do I go and do a Facebook Live and show up and speak about things? And I was very young, and I was receiving criticism from older women, At that time, also I was receiving appreciation from older women at that time. So I was concentrating on my criticism. And the quote said something like, if you really knew me, you would love me. And that's what is important, You need to know where your heart is. You need to know where your ego is and where your heart is. So that's important about criticism. Another thing that is important is understanding how you respond to those criticisms. There is science has proven that an emotion lasts for 90 seconds. After that, it is all stories that you build up. So, which is why when so I've been in corporations for a really long time, and they teach emotional intelligence in there to people, and in terms of how do you react to emails, to situations at work. And this emotional intelligence is all about understanding the science behind emotions, that an emotion lasts only for okay, you can go. Yeah.
Are you online?
Yeah.
You're back on Facebook something?
It's okay.
I wanted to ask you something.
Okay, go. I'll finish first.
How many minutes?
A few minutes, I'll be there.
Come on.
Yeah, I will finish and come. So, that was my husband for bombing my scene. So what was I saying? Yeah, so an emotion lasts for 90 seconds only. so when you receive a criticism, via email, via message, via some kind of communication, even at you on your face, take your time to respond to it. Don't just go this way. That's responding. The word responsibility comes from the word response, your ability to respond. So it's important that we understand this. So this is one aspect, when you are too stuck in the inward expression and you don't want to go out and be in the visibility zone. So here is where you have to deal with your criticism. And the thing about sacred feminine leaders is that they know that it's not about them. The reason you are choosing to step out and shine and share your message, share your gifts, speak up, express, is because you are channeling the sacred feminine. Not because I, me, Jonita, wants to be this famous leader. No, we are in service of the divine feminine. So it's not about you. And so do not take the criticisms personally. Okay, and then let's talk about this other spectrum, which is, so let me know if this resonates with you. I'm not able to see any comments, but hopefully what I'm sharing resonates with you on a day-to-day basis on how you respond to your everyday lives, or how you make micro choices in your life on a regular basis, because that is part of sacred feminine leadership. So let's talk about the other side of the spectrum, which is if you are too stuck in the outward expression, which is in the doing of things, and you are procrastinating, or I must say, if you are delaying that inward time, like, okay, maybe later, or maybe not, or maybe it's not important, not now, maybe when I get my periods I will rest, things like that. I know a lot of business women do this. When you run your own business, you just go on the doing mode, creation mode, and you don't stop until you know that, okay, I will get my periods, I will stop them. It's not about that. You can do that on a regular basis, on a daily basis even. So when you are stuck too much on the outward expression of the sacred feminine leadership and not willing to go into the inward, here is the resistance that you are having. Your triggers. You know that you choosing to step into the inward expression of your leadership would mean that you have to face your darkness. It means that you will have to face some triggers. And I've been working with some clients on one-to-one basis recently, more of that so, and we're doing this work around triggers. And let me give you this. If you feel triggered at any point, if you feel triggered, the sign is that you have to go inwards to work through it, to understand the trigger. It's not about healing the trigger. It's not about getting rid of the trigger. It's about understanding the trigger. So, when we approach our triggers from this perspective, we lighten the burden on us. So, when you feel triggered, so let's say, for example, let me work with an example and share with you. So a lot of my business coaching friends, they tell me that I should be showing up online all the time or as much as possible, so that people don't forget me, because it's already so many people online doing this work, and if you don't show your face on a regular basis, you may lose the audience, they will go somewhere else. And so I've been hearing all of these things, and I've been processing it in my own ways, and here is where the inward leadership comes in. So if I have to work into my triggers, let's say. So an example will be, my trigger would be fear of missing out, FOMO. Yeah, like what if I really miss out? So I don't go. Let me not go inward right now. Let me wait for the global pandemic to finish, and then I can go inward, because right now the world is shouting feminine, and I have to be out there. FOMO. So let's say FOMO is my trigger. So one of the first ways is, when you feel triggered, ask yourself, who does it remind you of? Very important question. 3 things to remember about trigger. Who does it remind you of? There must be a person that this trigger triggers your memory, your subconscious mind of. So for me, probably who does it remind me of? It would probably remind me of some of my teachers from school who would tell me that I have to speak loud, shout more to make myself heard. So this is what came up. So again, allow yourself to play in this area, understanding the nature of your trigger. Don't judge it. Okay, whatever is coming up for you. So for me, that, let's say this came up. My English teacher, she wanted me to speak out loud so that I could be seen. So that made me feel that I have to be out there to be seen, to be heard. Yeah. So the second question to ask is that, what does or when have you felt this way before? And I can continue with that example. I felt this way before, that when I just stayed quiet and I didn't show up as much, then I wasn't taken seriously. I wasn't valued. I was just, and what you will notice is, most of the time your triggers, when you ask yourself these 2 questions, firstly, who does it remind you of? And secondly, when have you felt like this before? Yeah, who does it remind you of, and when have you felt like this before? What you will notice is, when you answer these 2 questions, it will take you back to the times of your childhood. It will take you back to your inner girl, working and understanding where that inner girl was not met. So it's beautiful work to give yourself this inward time of leadership, because when you recognize these things inside of you, you can serve with much more authenticity, with much more groundedness. Because right now there's so much noise online, there's so much noise everywhere, that people are understanding, people are feeling each other's energies, and they're looking for authenticity. And you are looking to give and be and receive that authenticity too. And one final thing that you've got to remember when you are feeling your triggers is your universal truth. And I take in a journey of universal truth in the Womb Rage series. Womb Rage self-ceremony on the third day is the transfiguration tantra ceremony that we do, where you create your universal truth in the form of certain I know statements. So I tell my clients who have taken it to read that to yourself, to remind that to yourself, because people are here very much interested in reminding you of what they think you are. Which is fine. Again, it's their story, it's not about you. But what it's about you is to you reminding yourself of who you are. This is your job on a regular basis. This is part of internal, inward, sacred feminine leadership. You reminding yourself. No one else but you reminding yourself of who you are. So, I think I just got off track, or maybe I was on track, but I wanted to share this beautiful understanding that I had of this true nature of sacred feminine leadership, which is, being outward, the resistances, and being inward, the resistances, and how all of this is so important for the realization of the sovereignty inside of us. So I am really curious. I will leave you here, and I will be really interested to share with you more about leading from the shadows, like leading from the back, leading from behind for your loved ones, and which is also an integral part of sacred feminine leadership, which I did not mention or go into details here today. I didn't want to divert from what I wanted to share. But that's what I wanted to share. I hope this gave you an understanding of your own patterns, your own ways of responding to your being, to your feminine, to your everyday life. Yeah. And I'm really excited that in few days we are coming close to Beltane. I love this time. This is the sensual, sexual time of the year. There is a ritual sheet free to download available on my website. I will also share the link tomorrow, so you can gift yourself this beautiful Beltane time, and you can experience both outward and inward leadership through the ritual sheet, through the various methods, ritual ideas that I have listed there. And it's available for you for free, my gift to you. And I'd love to see pictures. I'd love to see how you celebrated Beltane. And let me know if you're interested to learn more about the depths of the sacred feminine leadership and how the feminine empress archetype works around it, and how you, as a woman, not as a person who is in a managerial position that wants to learn leadership, but you as a woman take charge of your leadership in your personal life, as well as everything out that you are creating. So let me know. Alright, sisters, so thank you for listening, and sending you waves of gratitude. Welcome once again to the new members. Let's share with me who you are. I'd love to connect, to know, to get to understand you, and share my inspiration with you, share my presence with you. I'd love to experience your presence as well. And sending you a lot of gratitude from this sacred land of India.